Welcome, this is Tracy with QuickBooks from the Top, and today we're going to go over how to use a test drive and also the different options you have for purchasing the new QuickBooks Online products and the desktop. So let's get started. Of course, here's my website, QuickBooks from the Top, and you can get a hold of me through here if you need any private trainings. I do remote trainings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. When we go to the website, the first four programs right here, which is the QuickBooks Online edition, we will go over the Simple Start. You can always hit Learn More on all of these and kind of compare them up. I compare Simple Start myself like Quicken. It is a basic checking account. Essentials is a bit more advanced as far as it's got some automated billing features in it. Most of my clients with inventory or even without, they use the Plus. It's got some great reports in there. And then the advanced version is if you are using inventory and need some more robust reports, the advanced really does handle that. I think it has a lot more users. Yeah, it includes 25 users in that. So in choosing the software, the normal client that I'm getting is using the Plus system. And we'll go through that in the test drive. This does use, I believe, the Plus version on that. Again, I definitely would suggest if you can't afford the Plus, definitely do the Essentials because the Simple Start's pretty basic, and that's, again, my opinion on that. Okay, so when you're in here, you kind of wonder where the rest of the products are because they're really trying to, sell the online version. But at the very bottom down here, you will see the different versions like the self-employed or the online advanced, the QuickBooks Desktop Pro, which is awesome. I just set up a client with this version. They have 3 different small businesses, and so it enables them to put all of the different businesses in there for one price. And it gives you an option here, which we'll look at real quick. Notice again, this is for one user pricing on this, but the Pro Plus they have at $300, and you get a deal this year, but every year you'll have to pay the subscription. And then they have the Pro Plus 21, which includes the payroll. Really nice payroll system. I definitely suggest if you are using payroll, this is probably a really great deal right now on the market for. It's got all the HR tools in there. It has the EFT availability for all your payroll reports. And you could certainly, start off with the Pro Plus, and then if you wanted to add the payroll into it, they will incorporate that easy. The Enterprise is a little bit bigger beast. This is made for a lot of retail shops that has a cash register. It has up to 40 users, and you can compare them side by side here. But this is, a bigger one that has full customer support and heavy on the inventory, so it's moving from different locations and registers. It's a pretty good price for, what's out in the market right now. But again, I kind of like to show people that there's more than just the online. There is the desktop version. They do come with annual subscriptions, but this Pro Plus, it does everything. It's a really nice system. When you go to set it up, it asks you what type of business you are and make sure that the chart of accounts and everything is similar to what the normal businesses out there are using. They do a lot of research on that. So I think that always good to do a test drive. So let's go over, and I do a search here. Oh, there it is, Intuit test drive. Okay, and the test drive lets me go in there if I wanted to see what the online version is and kind of move around and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. So if you just click the QuickBooks website, you got to scroll down here. Here is the test drive. Okay, secure, I'm not a robot, and continue. A lot of the online versions you can use on either your Mac or PC. You can have it on your cell phone. You can do your payroll anywhere, anytime. It is one of the really good online systems. I have seen and used other online versions. They're a little more complicated. This one is really easy to start off with. I always put over here, this is the administration tool, so you'll see the gear right here. This is where you kind of, oops, this is a sample company, but this is where you can see how to set up your account and settings. And this is just the basic information for your business on what's going to show up on your invoices and how you file as far as if you're using TurboTax. And then again, you have the option to, load your logo through here. So this is the setup portion that you should go through with your name, address. I'm just going to skip down to the advanced column real quick. This one is the one that shows when your fiscal year is, how to close your books, if you're using TurboTax, what tax form you're using, and then if you're using any account numbers, kind of the basics of going through. Classes and locations, really cool. So I had a client the other day that we set up their classes as the different segments of their business so they could see a profit and loss on each segment. And they also had 3 locations, so we turned on the locations and we're able to run it by both. But just a heads up, the classes, you can add as many as you want in one invoice or bill. Say I have a purchase order and it has many clients on it, so I want to track it by different classes on that, but you can only track it by one location. So I try and use the classes if I'm trying to track it as a different profit and loss. So you could have different portions of your business that combine as one profit and loss, but you could budget it out and be able to see the different types separately. I hope that made sense. If not, I have quite a few videos on that. But this is the main thing that you set up. You can pre-fill forms. It will show you in what category, as far as automation, time tracking. But this is the main one that you go to for all your administrative. So that, again, I went to the gear, account and settings. Here's where you would add your users and then your chart of accounts. Of course, to me, this is the most important part of setting up your business. And when you see the chart of accounts in here, it's sorted by the type. So most of your bank accounts, the same way your reports read. So on a balance sheet, you have your banks, your assets, and your liabilities. And then you also have your equity. And you come over here, this starts your profit and loss, which is your income and expenses. So the categories, usually when you select, when you're setting up your company, what type of business, it will give you a default account here. You always can use these, or you can select them and make them inactive, and then they will not be included in here for you to use, which is fine. You can add your own. You can also just edit an account in here and change the name of it. If it's in the right assets, let's just say, then you want to go ahead and just change the name here, and I could say this was the vehicle. Okay, and save and close. and it will change the name for you on that. So it's pretty simple to go through. You can ask your CPA for a copy of your chart of accounts and get that set up in here so it matches correctly. I also train how to do this, so you have a lot of options. And the main thing to me, I like to set up someone so that they have a template of what to use for a month. So you have from the setup to actually the reconciliations of all your accounts. I want to teach you how to do that. And then your financials. So what we can go over today is I'm going to bring you back to the dashboard. So if you ever get lost, just come over to the left here for the dashboard. Of course, banking is really important if you're a small business person. You can really keep up with your books on a daily basis. It runs off of using the bank feeds, and bank feeds are secure, and they bring in the let me just cross this out. They actually bring in your transactions from each closing day. And you'll notice here they have a checking and a savings and a MasterCard attached. So each of these items are updating every day, and you can see all the transactions that went through the account from what you received to what you've spent. So as a small business, sometimes you don't have all the time in the world to do this, but if, as you can see, as we go through it, it's really easy to kind of be able to categorize it right from here. And really, this is the main thing. If you can just use it from here, then you can do a bank reconciliation at the end of the month, run a report, and you're done with the month and self-sufficient. And one of the things I try and do is teach you how to do that. Let me just do a quick overview. What this means here is the checking account, savings, and MasterCard. They all have transactions here that need to be entered in, and those are bank feeds you haven't entered in. And as it's highlighted here, it's referencing this checking. So I can go through all these transactions are not in the system yet because they want you to categorize them. How do you categorize them? Click on this, it opens it up, it says books by Bessie, and I could go, okay, well that was really a cost of goods sold, and I can change it, and I can hit add. So in trying to recognize the best categories for these, they don't know, but you have to go through these and open them up. But it's just a couple clicks and you have everything into your system. We'll go to the bank register for this checking account, and it opens up just like your house bank register if you're still handwriting things. If not, hopefully you're using QuickBooks. But what it does is it has the check, the date, and who it went to, and this deposit. It looks like now it's a deposit, so it would probably be a return back to my cost of goods. But for the most part, you can see how everything moves through your register. I always say that if you ever get lost if you put something in, just come right into the register here and make sure it affected your checking account. Now, again, I'll just click on banking to bring you back to this screen. And as you enter these transactions, what will happen, we'll go ahead and match means that I already put the transfer in, or I recorded a transaction and it sees it's the same date that the bank feed was. Very intuitive. And I would just hit match so it doesn't duplicate anything. And once I'm done, it gives me a nice green check mark. Okay, I'm going to go next, which is sales. And there's a lot of categories here, but I'm just trying to kind of give you an overview of what the system looks like. So on sales, you have a lot of different columns, but there's really two I use. I use all sales, of course, and this will show you the most recent sale. You'll see 8/14, we have an invoice, and I can receive a payment right from here. I can look at all my invoices, but my favorite is go to customers. That way I can see all the customers, in alpha order, and I can go in. We'll use Amy's Bird Sanctuary, open that up. And these are all the transactions that I've done with Amy's Bird Sanctuary. really nice place to go to find out history on this customer. And it works the same way. I'm just kind of going to jump over to expenses. So they don't have as many breakdowns, but I still sort it by vendor so I can see. We'll do books by Bessie, and right here you will see that she had bought a book and made a payment for it, and then also what we just entered was we obviously reimbursed her for a book. And that's kind of one of the things, if you edit this, it will show the detail for the vendor, just like the customer. Everything's quite similar, so you would set this up. You can import the data in if you have an Excel spreadsheet. There's options in the gear where you can go ahead and import data. And also, if you are coming off of a desktop version, it's got the tool here and it will import all the data from the desktop version. Remember, it doesn't go backwards though, back to your desktop. So if you make the choice, you'd have to actually just push it all out into Excel sheets and try and bring it in that way if you went back to desktop. Okay, so we kind of skipped over cash flow, which I'm going to do right now because this is just an overview. It handles projects in here, which I really like. You know, the customers, if I start a project, it will run your project with confidence and it will actually give you a nice income minus the cost. As long as you're putting the customer on there for it to track it, then you'll be good. But you can always look at ones that don't have a customer to make sure that you caught them at all times, any costs or income. The payrolls, super easy to use. I really like that. It also keeps track of your contractors, so you can keep track of all your 1099 folks. And then reports. There's a favorite key that comes up here, which has your main reports. Of course, reports you'd give the bank or owners of the company, the profit and loss, balance sheet. And then we have some really cool reports over here called management reports. And I like things to look nice when I send them out or I hand them to owners. And this puts it in a nice package for me so I don't have to give them 3 reports. I can include what reports I want with a nice table of content. And here I can show them my profit and loss. And I'm going a little fast, sorry, balance sheet on that. And this has been really nice for me because it helps you look professional, you could say. All right, moving on to taxes. Taxes is what it is. If you're collecting sales tax or you're doing payroll tax, this is where these categories are. And in here it can show you your gross sales, taxable sales, and the taxable amount. You can record your payment. I'm not sure if we're exporting anything out to the tax. Usually you have an online login and you just put in the numbers from these reports, but it will run your reports that you need for your sales tax liability. Okay, and mileage. You have a lot of people out there driving. They have an option to track your mileage automatically, and I think that that's usually the best way to go because we always have our phones and that tracks that. Speaking of that, it also tracks receipts, which I just did a video on how to manage and track your receipts. You can take a picture of it. It goes up into banking, and then you can categorize it. You can email it to us into its site, and it puts it through to your system. Really nice. And I'm going to jump back to the dashboard. Okay, so another really nice thing on the online is you only have to go one place to do your activities. So new, let you go to your customers where you'll do your invoicing, receive payments, and vendors, same thing, checks. If you're doing credit card transactions, Your payroll, it lets people log in remotely with their phone and be able to log time, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything to have those people log in and report their time and put it on a weekly timesheet. And then you have your bank deposits, and you can make transfers from one account to the other. Your journal entries and inventory. And I'm going to go over inventory real quick. So that is again in the admin tools, and that's under products and services. I'll do a separate video on the inventory, but you can see it holds, it has some really great reports I like for the inventory, but it will show you your different line items, and these are the items that will be charged on your invoices. It will also be on your POs and bills as it comes in as an item, but they're really easy to set up. They have different types. You have inventory, non-inventory, and service. Service is a main one. This was for design, and then main thing you want to have is that it points to every time we sell it, it says, okay, it's design income. You can break it out to different types of income by your different line items here. And one more time up the gear here. Here's reoccurring transactions, and I have a lot of people that just have reoccurring car payments, monthly bills, rents. This reoccurring transactions in here, we'll go ahead and edit one. It will set a schedule for you, and you will be able to, you know, kind of set up the intervals, start date, end date. Oh yes, they do also have a merchant account in here, now that you see that. Anyway, back to dashboard. And that is your test drive. So go try it out yourself and get back to me if you need any help. Again, thank you for listening. Okay, thanks. Bye.